Today we'll be studying the teaching of our beloved Lady Master Magda. The title is All Energy is Destined to Return to God. This dictation was delivered by our beloved messenger, Elizabeth Clare Prophet, on Wednesday, April 10th, 1974, during an Easter class, the convocation of the new birth in the City of Angels, held at the Ambassador Hotel in Los Angeles, California. In her lifetime, in 1890 through 1944, Magda was embodied as the beloved and renowned evangelist Amy Simple McPherson, who opened the Angelic Temple in Los Angeles in 1923. There she preached to thousands, sometimes dressed in a costume that represented her sermon theme. She ascended at the conclusion of that lifetime. We also learn in our teaching that the Ascended Lady, Master Magda, is the twin flame of our beloved Jesus. In biblical times, she was embodied as Mary Magdalene, from whom Jesus cast 7 demons. Ascended Lady Master Magda started her teaching. I was supposed to share something else with you on that, but I lost my train of thought there. But anyway, Ascended Lady Master Magda starts her teaching by greeting and saying, "Love from the heart of Christ. Love from all who were privileged." Turn that down a little, please. To partake of that journey, that life, the demonstration of victory. And also we were told that this coming Wednesday, is Master Magda's birthday. Thank you for that, Ms. Judith. As she represented this love to us and all. She also shares love from all of those who has taken this journey, and as we are now on this journey, and she reaches out to us in order for them to bless and protect and guide us as we go along this journey and be able to call upon them in this hour. So if you would please join in with me as we open up our heart's flames by giving the following decree, 0.07a. And it is, I am the light of the heart. Together. I am the light of the heart, shining in darkness of being, and changing all into the golden treasury of the mind of Christ. I am projecting my love out into the world to erase all errors and to break down all barriers. I am the power of infinite love, amplifying itself until it is victorious, world without end. I am the light of the heart, shining in the darkness of being, and changing all into the golden treasure of the mind of Christ. I am projecting my love out into the world to erase all errors and to break down all barriers. I am the power of infinite love, amplifying itself until it is victorious, world without end. I am the light of the heart, shining in the darkness of being, and changing all into the golden treasury of the mind of Christ. I am projecting my love out into the world to erase all errors and to break down all barriers. I am the power of infinite love, amplifying itself until it is victorious, world without end. And when we look into that, and when we are saying, I am the light of the heart, the I am is the God in me, and that light that we're projecting out is from the heart of the Christ that he has infused within us and is shining in our being, and that we're supposed to be able to project that light and move forward in the teaching in order to stand as one in that light. Master Magda goes on to greet us in the flame of overcoming joy. She says, may I express my gratitude to the Lords of Karma for allowing me to speak to you on this occasion and all the expansion of the roads of the mother love in the City of Angels. And on this occasion and the great triumph of our Lord here on the Pacific Coast, where many souls will be brought into captivity through the flame that we anchor in this class. We live in an age when you will see the transformation before your eyes, when you see through this ministry of the two witnesses that they was able to share with us the teaching and the guidance that we now have. Now, during the time of the teaching of the master, when we first came along and got started with this, everything was a little bit different because everybody saw what was going on with the teaching of the masters as different from the east to the west. They would always tell you that, you know, don't go out there and get caught up into something that's going to be the key. I guess the key word was, you know, mind altering or changing, so that, you know, you wouldn't be off too far out in left field and not be able to understand what it was that God had for you to do. So with that teaching and the understanding of it, and as we grew to understand more and more about the master's teaching, you know, we would spend hours just sitting and going through the teaching. I mean, you know, we had classes among ourselves, and through one of our brothers, Brother Scott, he was the one that started us on the journey of the teaching of the masters back in the 70s, the early 70s, when we got started. There was a lot of time that I wasn't able to go, you know, to the ranch and here and abroad, but every time anything came to the city, or to the states, I should say, in the area, you know, we was always able to join in. So that teaching made a big difference, and is still making a lot of difference in everybody's heart flame that is able to walk in and find the master's teaching here. It says, many souls will receive a blessing from the mother's love that will keep them anchored in the light and their heart of God for years to come. It will keep us captivated and in the wisdom flame of God, which it has kept us in that flame and captivated for years. I mean, even now, you know, we find something that's new each and every time we get started into the teaching. It just says once you get up and you start being able to expound on what it is that the masters are asking you to do, you find out that there's a lot more that you haven't even scratched the surface as doing. Mark just shared with us that through the spiritual center and the fountain flame that is forever a witness to the light, which was consecrated here 10,000 of years ago during the height of the Lemurian culture and spirituality. Truly, this ground is magnetic. Truly, this is a hallowed space. But how mankind has trampled upon all that is holy. How they have cast the pearls of the master's consciousness to the swinish element of human nature. So you're speaking in terms of how mankind has trampled upon all that is holy. It tells us that, you know, we shouldn't cast our the pearls before swine, because all they're going to do is just toss it out. You know, in other words, the one that is not equally yoked with you spiritually, if you give them the teaching and they don't understand it, it's not something that they can embark upon and grow from without you staying and being totally engulfed in it and teaching them the way to go. Because if they have that unbelief and not the knowledge of it, they can't work and grow in it. So whatever it is that we're sharing, and that's what the teaching teaches us, that, you know, we have to be available and ready to continue with whatever it is that we're sharing and the way that we go forth with it. And it says, wherever there's light, there come the vultures of the night to steal that light, to corrode the holy purpose, to corrupt and defile the virgin consciousness. Those of you who know your destiny and your origin can sense the holiness of purpose and the plan that is here, even beneath the debris and the fuvula of mankind consciousness. And so you have to consecrate and to hallow anew this ground as a resting place, as an activating place, as a place of fulfillment of life's energy. So in other words, you have to keep the earth renewed with the hallowness of your being, with the holiness. As we keep coming in each and every Sunday to keep raising the energy and vibration within the chapel here and holding that light for the masters and holding that light for ourselves. So the one day, whatever day that we need healing, that flame and you walk in, there should be enough light buried within the area that when you walk through the door, if we are doing it right, if you're doing it right, that light is there, that energy is there. So walking through the door should give you that boost. The same as when you walk into the restaurant after you leave from your studies and your teaching or the church. And when you walk in, everybody turns around and look. They feel that energy that's coming in with you, that light that you have drawn down, and you're able to walk with it. So you're walking in the light of the Christ. Magda goes on to say, I've also come to renew the spirit of victory, to proclaim freedom, and to show you how Jesus, by his mastery of the 7 rays, was able to stand before me when I was in that condition of being seized with darkness. In every chakra, in every center, he compelled the darkness to leave by transferring to my center the victory of his own, by transferring to me the electronic presence of his being, by Jesus having mastered the 7 rays. And that's one of the things that we're going to have to do, is be able to master all the love, wisdom, and power through the rays that God has for us, so that as we walk out, we're able to shed forth that light, and the demons would run away from whatever it is that you have that's going on. It says, thus the demon fled and the sin was no more. The light of devotion burned, as did the candles of the wise virgin, who kept their lamp trimmed with oil. So the holy oil of gladness in the joy of the Lord was bright in the center of being. And we know the parable of the 10 virgins explained, but the one thing that will be needed, and whatever is going on in our life, is that we will need to have that wisdom. The same as the 5 that knew that they needed to have oil, so that when everything was ready to go, all they had to do was pick up and go, and not be sitting around lazily waiting for someone else to infuse you with that light. You have to stay on your guard in order to build up your light, that you're able to walk and share with that, and being able to be faithful. The version had the oil illustrate them being prepared. Ascended Lady Master Magda says that some of us know the love that ones feel for the one who is the instrument of healing, of forgiveness, and for the coming of the Christ into one's life. How can we repay the one who has prepared himself to be the instrument for our liberation? And so he was, which was Jesus, and is my Lord forever. I came to realize on an Easter morning, when he came to me, and in the period of communion in the upper room, that this message contained not only the worded release, but also the potential for victory. So we know that in the upper room was also where Jesus taught his disciples, but it was also a place where Jesus' followers were staying in this upper room and in Jerusalem, and the Lord had directed them to wait there until they receive the power as Jesus has promised. Magda tells us that she realized that Jesus had been the savior of her soul, of her life. So she too could be that instrument, like a giant electrode. She could focus the flame of the Christ and expand it to all generation. So that was one of the things that we are looking forward to in this time. And that's what she's sharing with us, is that is our responsibility. We are supposed to be that electrode of light, that electrode of wisdom and understanding, not to just be walking in and standing by or just walking through the door. Our responsibility is to be as Jesus was and as she was before she even after she made her transition, she has said that when you're able to balance 51% of your karma, are you going to just jump up and say, well, okay, now that I've balanced it, I'm out of here. Let's move on for the next phase. But it's saying that, you should be ready and willing to wait around to be able to help raise others and come back time and time again in order to be able to master what's going on, because you'll be able to come back in with the knowledge that you have received. And that's kind of goes the way it is on jobs nowadays also, is that if the wisdom that if you don't impart it to someone else going, it's going to be a long road that they're going to have to work to come up with. So as we have the teaching that we are given, we need to be able to impart it as Jesus imparted it within us. As that light is infused within our heart, we're able to send it out and give it out. So that is our responsibility. And so it was granted to me to be reborn again and again in this service. In each succeeding life, I retain the memory of that precious moment that I experienced when the darkness fled and light filled my body. And I found that the testing of the Lord was given in order for her to master as Jesus has mastered. And each of the center of his being, the Lords of Karma gave to me a lifetime for each of those sinners in order to gain mastery and victory. In other words, she was able to master her chakras in order, the demons that was there, she was able to, as Jesus was able to help raise her. So now once she was cleansed, she was able to keep moving and growing those chakras as far as her wisdom and understanding out of the 7. There comes a time on the path when Christ consciousness come before you to initiate you in the spirals of 1, the transfiguration, 2, the crucifixion, 3, the resurrection, and 4, the ascension. But there's also intermediate testing of the soul that is preparatory for these 4 initiation. And then comes the Christ to announce to you that you are a candidate for the ascension, which take place when you have balanced 51% of your karma. What will be your reaction once you have balanced that 51%? Are you ready to make the decision to be over? At that hour, there's a decision to be made. Will you remain in the earth evolution of the earth to serve another round and another round? Or will you take your ascension as it is offered? Because we have free will. We have the opportunity to say that, okay, now that we have received a balance, that 51%, do we go or do we stay? That is a question that you are given an opportunity to master. Because he says, by your free will, you will determine the answer. Many have decided to tarry with earth, for they have seen how great the need is and how many desires to be filled. When you desire to tarry, and if you do, you are then given the opportunity to pass those initiation, which will anchor in your 4 lower bodies a greater manifestation of mastery, so that you can walk the earth as an unascended, ascended master, anchoring a greater and greater momentum of hierarchy within your centers, for the healing of the nation and for assistance to others on the way. You will find then that if you continue in service, you will have a greater harvest of spiritual fruits to offer upon the altar of the Lord. When you finally do achieve that victory. It has been said by the masters that some have insisted on taking their ascension the moment it was offered and have regretted that they did not remain to render just a little more service, to give a little more love. How well I remember the words of Jesus that he gave to us concerning his final ministry. How joyous this period was to him. It was not a period of pain and suffering such as mankind experienced. And so that experience came can be garnered upon earth. As Jesus in his victory and in his joy proclaimed. Once you have the mastery, once you have achieved the balancing of karma, to tarry, to serve another around, is indeed worthy of your consideration. For that pain and that suffering which mankind experienced prior to the attainment of self-mastery dissolved at the point of the balancing of 51% of one's karma. Although it appears from without that individual suffers truly within that are joyous on the homeward path. Thus, what appears to be a life of sacrifice in Jesus is a life of triumphs, of overcoming victory. Consider then the joy of hastening the day of mastery of the overcoming, so that you may walk the earth as an ascended master, dispersing light, holding the balance for transition, assisting mankind into the glory of the golden age. Consider what your own beloved Lanello has told you, that you can set the mark of balancing 100% of your karma, that you can pursue those initiation that will make you at the hour of your ascension a part of the order of Melchizedek and other orders that are especially for those who had greater attainment prior to the translation of the soul and the four lower bodies. You live in an age that is a turning point, wherein mankind shall feel the inner glory of light, the inner glory of the path that the saints have trod, or the record of the law that remains of the quickening action in the very soils and sand. You live in an age when you will see transformation before every eye, when you will see that through this ministry of the 2,000 witness, and eventually million will come to know the true teaching of the law. It is a time to be prepared. It is a time to get the understanding of wisdom and to know the law, to practice the law, to know the fine points of the law, and to practice the precepts and the concepts of the law. Sometime as the angels and the masters look down upon you, who have such a glorious opportunity to share in the life triumphant, they would, if they could, have a moment of envy, of thinking how wonderful it would be to be informed, to participate in this glorious expansion of the light. And so the grass is always greener on the other side of the fence, appropriate even among the masters. For we know that also that as you pass through the valleys, that is Maya intensified by the mother, so as to make your initiation as real as possible, you will be able to prove your courage and your steadfastness. As you are here in the valley of struggles, in the sense of struggle, you long to be in the Elson fields with the angels, and the angels long to be here. For they also say to themselves, if we were in the valley of the struggle, we would remember that Maya is not real, that all that's present presents itself as illusion, as turmoil, as the difficult situation is contrived by the mother's love, so that her children might learn the practice of the law. So you see, when you think of the mata as matter and the matter as mata, you will see that all of the testing of the souls and all that you experience here is not necessarily as energy veil of evil or temptation or the dark ones of the fallen one. It is not necessary to blame every testing upon the supposed enemy that lurks at the door. For remember that if he did not exist at all, it would be necessary to create the illusion of his existence, so that you could have the testing of the metal. And so you must understand that even in the farthest reaches of nature, there the mother will intensify that Mayic veil, so that you might have the opportunity to scale the summit's height and prove your courage all the way on the homeward path. As our beloved Magda is sharing with us with that light and love, she wanted us to understand and have the opportunity to master the energy that whatever we cannot master, as she called upon Jesus for what it was that she needed because of the spirit or the demons that was cast from her, we can also call on Jesus for the casting of all negative energies out of our being, because he has mastered all of that. So of that light, we need to be able to be ready and understand and willing that as we call upon all the masters that have gone on before us, as we call on beloved Archangel Michael for his protection and guidance for the children and their wisdom, as we call on our beloved Jesus for healing and raising the sick, the dead, and the shut in, we ask for that light to be done according to that holy will. And as we give thanks for our beloved Magda, for her guidance and teaching, for her love and her light, that we continue to rise according to that light. In the name of the Almighty God.